Well, we've come down from the distillery to the river here, the River Bladnoch. And behind me is the picture we're looking for. Nice tree with reflections in the water. That's the one. So let's head back to the studio. You join me and we'll paint it together. Oh, there you are. You caught me. I was just getting some tubes of paint. Come on over here and we'll get started at this thing anyway. And we have a wee chat about Bladnoch. Great place, yes. Well, while I've got the paint in my hands, let's run through the materials. And we need 6 this time. And they are raw sienna, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, lemon yellow, and Payne's grey. Now, we need perhaps our little white gouache, so we leave that there. But the other 2 tubes we don't need, so we take them away. There you go. Now, we've got 3 brushes, the large goat hair, the baby goat hair, and the number 3 rigger. We have our tray, which we call a palette. We have our cloths for controlling the water on the brush. We have a pot of water. And last, we have a sheet of watercolour paper, which, of course, you must have to paint watercolours. And it's 14 by 10, which means it's long-wise, and therefore it's landscape. And that's it. So let's get at it. Let's have some more fun. Horizon, sky, middle, and foreground. Can't say that often enough for you. So let's get our straight edge and our pencil and draw the horizon line. And as I'm doing that, you have a look at the picture there and see. Look, it's the river at Bladnoch. Lovely spot, wasn't it? Imagine owning your own distillery. What a lucky man. And it's just below halfway. Now, while I have the pencil in my hand, do you see the near side of the river there? I'm going to put that in as well. It goes down like that very quickly. You don't have to be exactly the same. And on the far side then, there's a kind of a river bank that goes up like that, doesn't it? Yeah. There you go. That's it done. Finish with the draw now. And actually, if you look at those, and there's only 1, 2, 3 lines in it, you can actually see the relationship between the two, can't you? Excellent. Well, let's get the old large brush into the water there, and then we'll put out our paints. Leave it there to soak, yeah. Good idea always. Particularly when the brush is new, let me tell you, because there's an oil on it. This goat, he's an oily goat, yes. And what you need to do is, when you get the brushes, when they're new, you need to soak them in water for a couple of hours, just to get the oil off it. Otherwise, they're like to slide all over the page, and it's true, this. And as you have to run them in, isn't that the word? Okay, we got some raw sienna, some blue, some lemon yellow. There's 3 of them out. Now we put down the bottom here, we go Payne's grey, that's the brown, or the black fella, brown, says I. Beside that, the burnt umber. And the last one is the light red. That's your 6 colours. You'll notice that I very seldom use much more than 6 colours. That's because you can mix these together to get dozens of other ones, isn't it? Yeah. Well, enough to be said about that. Got the horizon. Let's start and paint the sky. And the first thing we do is we put a nice wash of raw sienna. And let me tell you, there's 2 reasons for that. The first one is, it actually makes a nice creamy effect on your sky, because it turns the blue kind of a creamy colour, or the white a nice creamy colour. And secondly, and more important at times, you can see where you've wet, because it turns it just a yellowy tint. Now let's get into the blue. Into the water, into the blue, swish it around, fill your brush, look, left, right, and then we're ready to go. Now, it's a good, strong sky there, isn't it? Yes. There's a fair few fluffy bits in it, and there's a nice white bit down this side here. So, now I'd only get a little bit of the old light red there and stick it into it, just to create a little winey colour. Winey. I'm talking about drink and I'm talking about wine. That's a very alcoholic picture, this one, isn't it? Oh, these different... look at that. That's lovely, isn't it? That's the nice wine colour. It's a colour I'm talking about, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. I don't want to go down here because you'll see what I've done. There's a nice green bank of trees in the background there. We're going to put those in next. Now, give the whole sky a bit of a dry. Just a quick dry there, just to make it set. Hairdryer, off we go. That'll do us now. Now, we put the hairdryer back and we look at the next thing we do. You always paint from the back of the picture forward. And what I mean by that is the next thing we're going to do is that hedge or the row of trees behind. Do you see it there? Yeah, let's get at that. So it's raw sienna, lemon yellow, and a bit of the blue. Don't make it too vibrant, because the thing about ditches and it's further away, yeah. It's further away than the one near you, isn't it? As we'd say at home. That should be all right. Now, it's the corner of the big brush, you see, and it creates these kind of roundy kind of shapes. Do you see them? Now, put the first bit in first. Go right up the whole way. See the little points on the trees? Up you go there. That's it there. And right up the top here. Let's tell you about some paper and what an advantage it is to have good paper, because otherwise you won't paint good watercolours. That's all there's to it. I'm afraid there's no shortcut to that. You have to use proper watercolour paper. Now, the thing about watercolour papers, it comes in a lot of different makes and a lot of different types. And to give you an idea, there's 3 main ones. There's knot, there's hot press, and there's rough. Now, that's so when you march into the art store, instead of being confused by all these dreadful names, you'll understand what it is. Now, let me tell you about what they are. First of all, let's take the knot. That's the one I mentioned first. That's what we're using. It's a kind of a medium paper, and that's the one I use most of the time. There's a little bit of a tooth on it to grab the paint, and it's quite nice to paint with. The next one, and now I'm taking some of the raw sienna here, with a tiny bit of the red in it. That's what we need. These are nearer. Anyway, the next one is hot press. Now, that means it's flat. There's no grain in it. It's smooth. And it's not really the kind of thing I like to paint watercolours on. I'd be happier if you stuck with the other one. And the third one is a very obvious one. Of the 3, it's the only one that's obvious. If I said to you it was rough paper, what would you mean? It was exactly that. It's rough. Now, rough paper can be difficult enough to use because, unfortunately, the brush hops a lot on it. Now, I'm just putting... See what I'm doing? I'm building up my little... Isn't that nice now? You can actually see these trees. They're all different kind of colours and things, and so that they're not flat and matte looking. It'll be drying time now with that lot. So let's do that. Let's dry them. Drying the faraway trees. No, isn't that nice there? Get back to our paper for a moment there while I'm getting this small brush out, because the next thing I'm doing is I'm putting in the bit of land. So you work down the page. And it's quite light in shade, so we'll use some of the lemon yellow and the raw sienna. Anyway, paper also comes in weight, thickness. But instead of calling it thickness, they call it weight. So it runs from about £90 up to about 350, 400 pounds. Now, 400 pounds paper would be like cardboard, which can be very nice to work with. There's just one tiny slag about it. It's awful expensive. So I don't use it that much. This is 140 pound. Sometimes you go to 200 pound. That's what it means. It's the thickness of the paper. Oh, there's some technical thing called, the amount of a ream, so many sheets to the ream, and but I'll not bore you with that. It'll enough to do to say that if you go in and ask for 300 pound paper, it'll be thicker and more expensive. But stick with your 140. That's strong enough for you. Now, and see what I'm doing? I'm building a little river bank there. Isn't that nice? Now, here and there, I've left out little bits of white. Do you see that? See, it's only a dab of the baby goat hair, and the brush will kind of curl up that way for you a little bit, you see? So you just have to kind of dab it like a chisel. Now, next, the water. Get the big brush now. Now, before we hit the water, I think maybe it's a good idea we just give it a quick dry. That'll be that. Very quick. Oh, yeah, that was a quickie. Didn't take long, that, did it? No. Now, let's get in some blue. It's the river we're after now. Big brush. Now, watch this now. I'm going to put this brush. I'm Now, I'm left-handed, so I'll start from this side. You might want to start from that side, but if you don't, if you want to follow me, watch this. Put the brush on the paper, and as I go like that, I turn the brush. Do you see that? And the same again underneath. And lo and behold, I've created a straight line, but what I have done as well is I've left little bits and bobs. You see it? That's my water in. Give that a dry now. There we go. Now, there's a bit of white flecks there. I'm going to leave them. I rather like them. I think they look grand. Now, what's your next thing we look at? There's a big tree there. Do you see him in the middle of the whole thing? Why don't we start at him now? First thing to do is to put in the trunk of the tree. And for that, you need a small brush, OK? And he's about there somewhere, isn't he? He'd be that far down, about there, yeah. So put the rigger on the paper, press down hard, and go off up into the sky with it. I'm not going to do an awful lot of work on this tree. That'll be enough, because you can't see it. So there's not much sense if you can't see it and putting in branches and things. Starting again, light to dark, off you go. See? We just feed it in there, remembering now it's going to get darker in a minute, so don't... Now, trees are often as wide as they are high. Don't make them like telegraph poles. See that? Now, it's time now to... Now, this is with the corner of the brush, and the brush is fairly dry. So I've given it a good... You need to dry it on your cloth like that. That's why those cloths are there, so use them. Now, if you like, a great exercise for you. Go on out, of course when I'm finished, don't go out now, and into the garden, find a tree and copy it. Just a tree, nothing else. Great exercise. You'll love it. That's me tree is coming in better now, isn't it? He's a nice fella, this tree, isn't he? And one little bit of darker paint. Just up that side there. Hey, it's a nice tree, this, isn't it? I'm going to put a bit now down at the river there. We're going to put a little bit of foliage and things. We're going to do it. Don't worry. We'll put the reflection in a minute now. First thing is put the tree trunk in, and that comes down there, doesn't it? All I'm doing is repeating in the river exactly what's above it. Let's get at this. Now, it can be a bit darker, just a tiny bit darker. The reflection, right? Goes like that, you see, and then it comes straight down here like that. Right down to the far side. Right across the river. It's not a very wide river. Salmon River, though. Our friend, the distillery owner, do you know he has 2 miles of this river? So he can catch his own salmon. He's completely self-sufficient, and he's a lucky man. Now, that's about it, isn't it? That looks sensible, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah. You know, there was a very famous painter years ago, just for the matter of it. I thought it was very funny. I actually met him in Dublin. And, in fact, I could be standing corrected, but I don't think so. As far as I remember, he was Irish. Now, what I'm doing is I'm putting in with the big brush some good green, strong green colour. See, because now, because we're over this side of the river, we can be... That's to give us a foundation to put these other trees and things on. Anyway, his name was Sir Francis Bacon. He lived in England, and he became a Sir. And he used to paint pictures. I can only describe them for you as people's faces, and they always seem to be in pain. Oh, grotesque, yeah. But they were very famous, and so was he. And he made huge money out of making people's faces unhappy faces. But the funny thing was, his name was Bacon, and do you know what he was before he was a painter? Yeah, you probably guessed. Well, he was a butcher. Bacon the butcher. I thought that was very funny. I didn't say that to him because he was kind of a serious man. I wouldn't want to be upsetting him, but He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but I think he was from Dublin anyway. But that's what he was, Bacon the butcher. Well, he was Bacon the painter when I knew him, but... Funny how people often, you know, the names, and they sort of, one joins the other, like Mrs. White marries Mr. Black and things like that. And I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I just thought it was interesting. But if you ever get to see his work, though, it is very grotesque. Yeah. Now, I'm using the brush now again. Do you see what I'm at? And I'm creating these kind of bushes sticking out on this side here. It's a simple picture, this. I'm going to go down a bit there now. And then I'm going to put in some darker colours, because this is quite a dark side, this. I'll show you there's another reason for making it dark as well. This is burnt umber I'm putting in. I'll tell you why in a second. In fact, I'll do better than that. I'll show you why. Now, that looks nice now, doesn't it? I have the disadvantage here of being... I'm kind of screwed into this chair. I can't get out of it because I'm not allowed to move too far. But if you could stand back a bit now and again from your picture, you'll do far better. Now get the old nail and run it up there. Look, and a few of these things. And we create... Oh, they're nice trees, yeah. That easy. That's a kind of a tree finger, yes. And it's dead simple. But don't go mad at it. Now, I'm going to have to do a bit more on that bank, and I've got all kinds of things, but I've got something else to show you. Get the old pencil here. Carrot on horseback. I thought it would be nice. You could put them in the riverside there if you like. Here's a simple one for you. Over to the doodle piece of paper now. And I want you all to get a pencil. If you haven't got your paint set, you can do this anyway. Look, pencil, anything, crayon. I want you to draw for me a carrot. Class 1 carrot, no foliage. There it is. Got that? Next then, draw a tail on it. Right? Then a half carrot up on top of it. And on top of that, a dot. I just thought it'd be nice maybe for this one that, look, you've got a horse with a carrot on it. You might like to put him in along the riverbank there. Now, that's one way of doing it. But suppose you want to do it the other way. Suppose you want the horse to come towards you, right? Just you probably said, oh, she showed me that horse back before. Yeah, well, you didn't see this, though. Wait, you see this now. Wait, you see this. Look. Now, this time we're going to put a carrot up here for his head. See it? And ears on him. And fill in the... There we are. Now, this time the carrot goes up on top again. But we're going to put a coat on this fella, look. And on the top up here, the head, you put the head on again, but you don't fill it in completely, you see? So now you have a guy coming towards you. So you got one fella going away and one fella coming towards you. Carrot on horseback, yeah. Away and towards you. Just thought I'd show you that. Interesting. Let's get back to this picture. Now, if you want to put that in one of your pictures, feel free. So the old carrot is a very useful man, isn't he? He fits into many places. And that was the famous one I think I told you before about Paul Cézanne, that he said, the common carrot properly observed will cause a revolution. Paul Cézanne said that, a long time ago too, so he couldn't have been talking about me. Now, all I'm doing is, look, I'm filling in the shadows here to represent the river. You see the way the shadows gone into the river? Just like that. Gives a bit of life to the whole thing, doesn't it? Yeah. And then we have a look here and see. Now, there's a couple of other things about this that's quite unusual. One of them is what we know in the business as a thirsty brush. Now, what does a thirsty brush mean? Let me show you. I take the big brush, I dry it, and then I just run it right across like that. It lifts off the paint. See that? And it gives us kind of the impression that the water has the wind kind of blowing on it. You know the way you get those little eddies on the water? Just like that. 2 of those, that's enough. Back down to the bottom now again. Wasn't that simple? Yeah. Right, let's put in, we need some more yellow paint. We'll run out of paint. Oh my goodness me, that's a bad thing now when you do that. And when that happens, don't try and paint without paint. I've done it myself. I've no yellow left, so what do? I try to turn the light red into yellow by mixing it in. I don't know how many people do that. They're afraid of their lives to use too much paint. It's so expensive. No, it's not. It's just, we're just mean. Artists are mean with paint. Oh, that's too strong. We got to make it weaker. That's better now, isn't it? Yeah, that's a lot better. We've got to darken up that bit there now. And I have a reason for doing that. We've got something nice to show you now in a minute. And then we're going to get some more of the old burnt umber and give it a down swish there, here and there. See, little bunches of weeds and reeds and things, yeah. And another bit down here, and then we get on to our next bit. Making use of our white gouache is the next one. Put that down there, get out the white gouache now. Now the white gouache is a great man for this. Wait till you see this. You get a small brush, swish it around in the water. Now, into the white gouache, which is a white opaque paint. Now, I think we should maybe give that a tiny bit of a dry, because I see now that once there's a sheen on it, it's awkward to work with. That's fine. Now, a couple of little, just dots, look. That's all. Little white dots. Yeah, just kind of breaks up the thing. Now I'm going to take some of the yellow here, because there was some buttercups. Now, I put the white dots first because I didn't want to muck up my paint, my white gouache. Now, there's loads of little buttercups up there. Look at them. All up in the forest and everything else. See them? Absolutely. How are we getting on? Grand? Now, I think that's nearly enough. Now, I think we wash out the brush. Give it a good swish. Now we put where's the bird? It's bird time. And I'm up there. And then we get the pen. Yes. And we do a little scripting down the bottom here, the old signature. And then, last but by no means least, something I advise everybody to do, take your mount, put it on, and then lean back. And I have to say to you that that's all. And from me, it's slán leat once again, which is goodbye in Irish. And try this out and have some more fun.